Right, a very bright morning right from Arua City, and it is also really a very big important day that is in the lives of Christians as we celebrate the Martyrs' Day. And today is 3rd of June. This is actually one of the days that is in celebrations to honor the 22 Catholic and 23 Anglican converts to Christianity, also really in historical kingdom of Uganda, who were also really murdered, that is also over the years in the then reign that is of the Kabaka of Buganda, that is Kabaka Mwanga on his orders there. And these were executed between 31st of January 1885, sorry, and 27th of January 1887, who were actually murdered in that day. This day is celebrated to honor these people who lost their lives in there. That is why we are saying, how are you doing? Because we are just returning back from the weekend. We should be asking this: how did your weekend go? And how is your new week starting? Because it is a public holiday for those who are in public service, maybe also schools as well, all off. That is for the public holiday. But we are here to keep you informed of what is happening in Namgongo. We are going to be getting information from there. But really, I want to remind you that this day is actually one of those very big, important days, which is already there. And I do understand that this year's celebrations was actually given the honor to be animated by West Nile, that's Nebi Catholic Diocese, also to celebrate that day in there. But we did see them doing quite well. And today, we also expecting the same, because we did see them right from the time also them trekking, and up to now we have been keeping informed, and today we are also as well going to be keeping you informed of what exactly happens in them. But today we also want to remind you that this day is actually very important for those who are Christians. We must also make sure that we honor this day. We celebrate it with our family members, because today is not a day where you expect to be going to work or school. And this is why we are saying it's public holiday. For those who are maybe going to be thinking of going to be knocking people's offices, we want to remind that you're going to be finding most of the offices locked. And that is why we are saying you must also just stay home. But really the question I want to put to you, the viewer, is how are you celebrating this day? And what does this day exactly mean to you as a Christian faithful in there? But really you can't be able to share with your opinions with us. But later on we shall be keeping you informed of any developments that may arise in there. But really this is why and reason I want to say maybe a brief history, if I can be able to remind you. These are two people who were murdered on orders of kingdom. They took place, that's Buganda kingdom, and the deaths also took place. That is at the time where there were religious struggle. That's solely we did see the episode also occurred against the backdrop of the scramble for Africa in there. But really, what exactly happened is the question. Maybe somebody out there could be asking him or herself. But really, I want to remind that this incident happened long ago, and that is why up to date we are celebrating this day now. The Martyrs' Day celebrations is actually one of those very important days as Christians. So we must honor in there, because if at all we do not honor this day, then definitely we may not be able to have maybe a reason as to why we celebrate it. And that is why I want to say people must make sure that they celebrate the martyrdom. And this is the history of the day, or maybe I was. And as they maybe came in celebration, as somebody out there may be also asking myself, but I want to remind that there are 24 also Uganda Catholic martyrs who were killed, and 22 also that is also killed between 1885 and 1887, and the orders of King of Uganda, that's Kabaka Mwanga, and also the 2 killed, that's 1918 in Paimo in northern Uganda. And now we are saying also this day is actually very, very much important. And the first to be martyred was on 15th of November 1885. That was the king's major also. That is also something we did see there. And the Christian leader, Joseph Mukasa, who was Balukudembe, who was also killed because he pledged with the king not to kill the bishop. That is Bishop Huntington in there. But really, that is something also where we did see maybe the king felt he is being disobedient. And that is why we did see that also is that happening in there. And in the morning of 27th of May 1896, at Mengo, also another person was also killed. That is also for volunteering to be executed on spot. That is also really something we did see in there. And on the same day, while at Old Kampala, we did see also in his way from Mengo to Namgongo, Matthias Kalembe Mulumba refused to walk further in the demand. That is also really for the execution. His hands were cut off and flesh also removed also from his back and roasted in there. These are things we did see how these people died painful deaths. That is for maybe the celebration, maybe how we're enjoying what we call faith today. And that is why I want to say that maybe this is that could be happening today, could be meaning a lot. And that is why we need to also make sure that we talk about this celebration. And that is something which at the end of the day I really feel we need to talk about, because if at all we do not also talk about it, then definitely we may also see ourselves lagging behind, which wouldn't be quite well. And that is why we are saying the Martyrs' Day is actually very important. And as Christians out there, we must make sure that we are part of the celebrations, and that would be quite well. smell, so that solely nobody is left out. And that is one thing I also really want to maybe keep that discussion aside, and I really want to ask you as the viewer, how are you celebrating this day, and what exactly are you doing to celebrate this day? That is already something maybe as the viewer I should be able to ask you opinion on, and you feel free to drop it there, and I really also really would be going on that maybe that on later on. But really, as we get to move on with the discussions, I also want to say that one observation that somebody cannot be able to move that is within the streets of Arua City unnoticed is about the fact that also really there's filth and garbage being dumped that is in most parts of the city, where we are now being seeing that people are being welcomed, that is with the stands, that is already the stand smell that comes from this garbage in the most parts of these collection points that's within the city center. But really I want to say there's something that really the city council needs to do towards that, because we did see them also already having that over the weekend, where we have also been told that the garbage also collection sites that's at Eruba, sorry, that's already that side of our road district is water, sorry, is actually getting full, but really nothing is being done. And that is why we did see over the weekend people complaining, but up to date this garbage hasn't been moved, that's off the streets, and now we are seeing these low roads also already maybe partly closed. What does that mean? Are we going to be seeing maybe the garbage also really blocking the road? That is something also really I want to ask ourselves on that. But really information from office of that is the communication department of Arua City indicates that Arua City is saying actually that this garbage is beyond, that is the control of Arua City. But really recently we didn't see the passing of the garbage, the budget recently. How much money was allocated for garbage is the question certainly we need to ask ourselves, because I did not see any money being amounted that is for the garbage composite being allocated in the budget. But really I must say garbage is actually one of those instruments that need to be catered for, because recently we did see Arua City actually moving forward, that is to have the solid waste management bill, which actually talks about the garbage. But really, how are we going to be having this law when we, as the city council, we have failed to solely ensure that we take care of this garbage? Is the question also really we should be asking ourselves this early morning. But really, that is one thing also I want to seek your opinions on. As the viewer, you can be able to share with us, and I will be able to go through it later on. But I want to remind that information from the office of the Arua City Communications Department indicates that the garbage is actually beyond the city council's mandate. And really we did see also Central Division also raising concern over the same matter, that is through the Central Division Mayor, that's Muzaid Kemis, also complaining and decrying the issue of the garbage. And that is why he says that the mandate of that city council is to ensure this garbage is collected and actually taken, that is to the final place, because what we have been seeing is that the garbage is actually collected in these 5 garbage collection points, one located that's at the Long Hospital Road, and then the one at the market, and there's another one at Lobida, as also the Zambia has one, plus other areas where this garbage is supposed to be collected by these women, maybe by these companies. So the city council can now be able to move it off the streets to the final place, and really that is something that we didn't see happening. But really I want to maybe ask your opinions on, as we bounce back shortly. I will be able to still pick your opinions on that. For now, let's have this short commercial breather, and when we bounce back, we shall be able to expound on that discussion and also really, and more other topics that will be coming our way. For now, let's first have this short commercial break as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
search for Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makula Chika, exclusively on Star Times. For more details on how to join the competition, visit www.missuganda.co.ug or visit Star Times branches. The show is sponsored by VNA, LMZ, Comfort, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Grace Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, true Ugandan beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from that short commercial breather. We are back into the second half of the first hour, and we are going to be doing this with you up to the hour. That's 9 o'clock, and we hope you are having a wonderful time on this very important day in the lives of the Christians. And this is where we are celebrating the Martyrs' Day, and this is already where we are saying how faithful are you and how willing and how submissive are you to submit yourself, that is to God. And this is already why we are celebrating this day today, because a number of people actually sacrifice their lives. That is also maybe the piece of also the worship that we are celebrating today, and that is why we are saying, as Christians out there, how willing are you to maybe surrender yourself and maybe to also to Christ, because this is one thing also this day actually came into existence for, because we did see a number of people actually sacrificing their lives. That is to the honor, that's only maybe to God, and that is why this day, as they come into existence. But really, as we get to move on with the show, leaving that aside, I really hope you are having a wonderful time that is with your families this early morning. Maybe you could be sitting right now on the, maybe in the sitting room with your family members as you celebrate this day, and as you are planning also to go to church, because I do understand today some people are going to church to also pray for these martyrs who are killed in there. Maybe this is one thing also we need to ensure, that for those who have not been going to church, today at least we must make sure that we move to church and also really be part of the congregation, so that also we get to pray. And that is one thing which I really feel as Christians out there, we need to make sure we do, because if at all you are not going to be praying, then definitely that wouldn't be quite well. I also do understand that there were Muslim martyrs who were also killed as well, and today that is also one thing also I want to implore the Muslims also out there to also really pray for their colleagues and their brothers who actually died on this day, and that would be quite well, because I do understand also really over the years that we have not been talking about the Muslim martyrs, but today this issue is actually coming up, that there were Muslim martyrs who were also killed during that time in there. And that is why we are saying, as Muslims out there, that really I do understand that there's a mosque that is currently being developed, that is at Namugongo. We must also really make sure that we move in there and pray, and that will be also really quite well. Maybe for those Muslims who are around the areas of Wakiso and the surrounding areas, we must make sure that we actually move, that is to this mosque today, and also really pray maybe with our Christian brothers and sisters. So that's not also really we get to also really pray for those Muslims who are murdered during the time in there. Really, that is one thing I also really want to say, that we need to make sure that we do as a people and as citizens of this country, and that will be quite well, because Martyrs' Day is actually one thing that we celebrate in this country. But really, we are not celebrating as a country alone. I do understand there were pilgrims who walked all over, that is also in parts of East Africa. We did see pilgrims coming from Tanzania, others coming from Kenya, and also South Sudan. Our neighbors also did send also the pilgrims in there, not forgetting the DRC, who actually moved to celebrate with the Ugandan counterparts. And really, I want to say this is something also that we must make sure that we also ensure and respect that really nobody is left out. And we did see a total of that is 230 pilgrims from 14 parishes under the Archdiocese of Juba of South Sudan arrived at the Catholic also Martha's Shrine Namgongo earlier today, and that's something we did see happening. And Sunday evening was also for the grand celebrations for Uganda Martha's Day 2024, and this is something also we did see. This were arriving yesterday, and today they are already with us, and that's only where we must also make sure that their security is guaranteed. And that is one thing also I want to now task the security to also make sure that also those who are coming to this country do not also really have also fears, so that also we attract more pilgrims next year. And that is really something I want to also say. We need to make sure that the security of these people is guaranteed, because that is one thing also really at the end of the day which would be quite well. But really I want to take this honor now to also really welcome each and everybody who may be joining us this very early morning, maybe for the very first time, and say that we are going to be going with you like this up the hour of 9 o'clock. And 9 o'clock remains our final destinations, and thereafter the news bulletin in Lubarati will be coming through. That is with Mukulia Lawrence, who is already here. But really I want to say we must take this honor, and each and every mornings we must also really share our ideas, share our opinions. And today is actually a day where you need to check out on your loved ones. That would be quite well, because if I told you I'm going to celebrate this day with your loved ones, then who exactly are you going to be celebrating it with? And that is one thing also I want to say. We must make sure we also be part of this day. It is not a day for drinking alcohol a lot, or maybe for unnecessary expenditure or unnecessary drinking, but rather it is a day of faith where we must be faithful. And that is one thing also I want to say is quite well. At the end of the day, we must also respect, because if we're not respecting it, then definitely what exactly is going to be happening is really something I do not know. But as you, the viewer out there, I want to say we need to make sure that we do that, and that will be quite well. And moving away from that, now let's look at some of the stories that happened over the weekend. We are in for the graduation ceremony of 1,250 teachers, or that's from National Teachers College Muni, who graduated in different subjects, and this is for both primary and secondary teachers at diploma level in there. But really this is one thing also I want to say is quite well, because we didn't see that happening over the weekend. And I really want to say these teachers have been called upon, that is to ensure professionalism. And then secondly, one thing I loved from the Vice Chancellor, that's Chambogo University, Eli Katunguka, who actually came in for this celebration, because these teachers sit for exams under Chiambogo University. And this is one thing also I want to say happened, and really he called upon these people to actually ensure that they have professionalism and they must act professional. And this is one thing also I want to say happened over the weekend. And Aliwaru Daisy Philip, the principal National Teachers College, also really as well asked these teachers to ensure that they are relevant. And this is one thing also where he did ask teachers and ask them to also actually do the things expected out of a 21st century teacher in there. This is one thing I really want to say happened, and which was really on a quite good note. And this is one thing I really feel at the end of the day it would be well and good for the teachers to actually make sure that they actually updated with what is happening in and around the world. And really that is one thing at the end of the day, as teachers out there, they must make sure they do. And this is one thing also I want to say, as teachers, you must not make sure that you are the teacher who is actually relying entirely on what you think is education. And that is one thing also we did see these people also being told about. We asked them actually to embrace what is coming up in the over 21st century teacher. And that is one thing I really want to say. With internet, it is actually the way to go, and online teaching is actually one thing that something most teachers need to embrace. And in our region, Western sub-region, I must say nothing of that caliber hasn't been done very much. Most of the teachers are still very much, I shouldn't say behind, but really in central Uganda, we have seen the learners and the teachers are now embracing what we call online studies, where most of the learners can now be able to learn, that is through online teachings in there. Really, this is something I would say as our teachers in Western sub-region, we also really want to make sure we must embrace, because if at all we're not embracing that, then with the new teacher policy, these teachers may be thrown out. But really one thing also we have been told about these teachers who actually got graduated over the weekend is the fact that they have been prepared for what is coming over the 21st century teacher. And that is one thing I really want to say was quite amazing to see, because we did see a number of stakeholders coming up for this event, and I really want to say it is quite nice and quite interesting as well to see people gathered. And that is one thing also I want to say, as parents of this region, we must make sure that our children go to school, because if at all we are leaving them behind, and then definitely that is one thing also, at the end of the day we may see them lagging behind, and really if our children lag behind, they will be the ones to swim in poverty, which wouldn't be quite well. And that is why we are saying, as parents, as teachers, we must make sure that we are having value that is for the money that parents are paying to the schools. And that is one thing also really where I want to say, as teachers, we must make sure that there's change, because teachers are agents of change, and they are the backbone for all the careers. Because as a teacher, you are the backbone for all the careers maybe that could be out there, because a teacher is a professional, and definitely we are having doctors who must pass through teachers, we have lawyers who must pass through teachers, we have engineers who must pass through teachers. What about journalists? We all have to pass through the teachers, and that is why we are saying the teaching profession is actually one of those important maybe professions, and that is why they are also really being termed as people of maybe the middle income. And that is why we are saying the teachers also really must make sure that what they are expected of in the 21st century is actually something that they are going to be also engaging themselves in. And I really want to say that is possible. We need to make sure that teachers are well prepared, first of all, and ready for what is coming up their way. And that is really something at the end of the day which will be quite well, because this event that happened over the weekend actually attracted a number of stakeholders from different parts of the country, because we did see people coming all the way from Buganda, others from Eastern, others from across the borders. Also, this is after their children had attained, that is, studies, and this is where we did see a total of, that's 1,250, which is really quite amazing. That maybe that is something also really where other institutions from maybe the region need to also pick a leaf from, because recently we did see a graduation of one of the schools in this region where the number that graduated to was actually less than 1,000. And what does that mean? It means that also really there's more. These universities and also the other schools within the region need to copy for a leaf from. They need to also engage themselves and embrace and learn what exactly NTC money is doing different. And that is really something at the end of the day which will be quite well in terms of attracting numbers in there, because we want the numbers. We want to see more people coming all the way from the other parts of the country to also come to Arua and let them also embrace the other institutions, because we have quite many, which I wouldn't also mention the names. But I want to say it's quite possible where also we can be able to attract more learners from the different parts of the country, because at one time we had our schools here like St. George's College, Jombachim, Vara, SS, and others, and also to attract learners, because really we have been told also over the years these schools are mentioned, we are at the top, and that is really something I want to say we need to also engage ourselves and interest ourselves in, and in terms of what exactly happened and how we can be able to revive that glory, because really that is something which was our pride, something that really made us proud as for this region. And to also learn that also that was quite something that happened, it means that also it is still possible for us to also embrace ourselves and learn from that, because what exactly happened over the years is still possible for us to do now. And that is one thing also I want to say, we need to make sure that we are picking a leaf from. At the end of the day, we are going to be the ones benefiting from that. And that is one thing also happened over the weekend, and I really want to say it is something which we can't also go and talk of. And that's one thing also I want to say is quite very well. And that is one thing I really want to say also, as the viewer out there, you must be able to also learn from. And as we get to move on with the show, and remember something also happened over the weekend, that was really where we did see Norbert Mao tying the knot, and was the same note he also did say a ballot not enough to cause political change in Uganda. And that's something also we did see happening. And really want to say, as the viewer, what do you think about the statement made by the Constitutional Affairs that's minister, that's Norbert Mao in there? But really, what do you think about it? Because he actually came out to say that over the weekend, and maybe this was during also where he was in honeymoon, because we did see him also tying the knot over the weekend. And we want to say congratulations to this family, which actually officially got wedded over the weekend. And that is one thing also I want to say happened, which we can't be able to also really exclude out as we get to move on with the show, because that is really something we can also really be maybe quite well interest ourselves in. And the political change in many Ugandans are yearning for will not be realized that is through the ballot box alone, but also has also even in negotiation with power also hold as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Norbert Mao also really said that, and Mr. Mao said that Mr. Mao, who is also the party president for DP, explained that the negotiation was partly the reason for the opposition party also the reason for his opposition party signed an agreement with the ruling government, that's of NRM, which has been in the power since 1986, and when its national chairman, that's President Museveni, also shot his way was to set out through a 5-year guerrilla war in there. That's something else we did see in there. And according to Mao, opposition leaders and many Ugandans must position themselves and focus where they can negotiate with the government, and as a step which DP has also taken in there. But really, what does that mean? Because if at all we are saying the ruling government of NRM came through power, maybe came to power through the guerrilla war, are we going to be doing the same? That is really something I want to say. It's not well, because we did see a number of effects and the negative repercussions of the war. We did see also where we did see a number of people losing their lives, property being destroyed. Uganda also really came to lag behind, which really I want to say is something we need to make sure does not repeat itself, because really if at all maybe the ballot is not working, then what other alternative can we use? Because we have seen a Democratic Party, which also the Party Constitutional Affairs Minister also aligns to signing an MOU also with the ruling government, and that is something also maybe feels we need to also make sure we do. Because what about the other political groups? For instance, the National Unity Platform and Alliance for National Transformation. What about FDC? Can they also all come to sign an MOU with the ruling government? And what does that mean? And can maybe the NRM government also surrender power to these opposition groups? Is something also I want to ask your opinion on as the viewer this morning. And really, you can be able to share your ideas with us, share your opinions, drop the comments on our comment section in there, and I will be able to really go through it. And I really want to say we are going to be sharing that with the rest of the viewers. And this is where we did see the former Gulu Municipality MP who disclosed that he was never hungry for power, arguing that he negotiated with the party president from Uganda, that is President Museveni, for 1 year before he was appointed Minister for Justice Affairs in there. Really, that's something we didn't see happening, and I really want to say, how can we be able to make sure we realize the change? Because many people want change, but really how can they be able to realize that change is the question. So really I want to ask you, the viewer, this early morning. And according to him, DP will field a presidential candidate in the 26th general elections, and he said there will also really be a need to revise the agreement that he signed with President Museveni, noting also that he was also that current term is also expiring in 1 month time. Also that's one thing also I want to say we need to have your opinions on as the viewer. What do you think about it? And that's something also we also want to share our ideas on, and he echoed the need for reconciliation in the country, peaceful change, and constitutional reforms. Also something we also, which his docket is actually mandated to do, to also really make sure we also really talk about it. Because many of the times people have been complaining about the constitution being the problem, because recently we were for a civic engagement that was organized by West Nile Regional Civil Society Network, that's in the rural city, where we did see a number of people being brought together, including that is also really the people hold the power, Electoral Commission, police also being brought together. That is for them to also come and dialogue on the civic education. And one concern that actually came out in this meeting is the fact that President Museveni is not the problem, but it's not the constitution which gives him a lot of powers, and that means also the powers need to be trimmed. That is also through the constitutional reforms, and which is supposed to be done by Norbert Mao's ministry, that is the Ministry of Constitutional Affairs and Justice Affairs. But really, what exactly and how possible can we be able to do that? And that's also really something as the viewer you can be able to share your opinions with us and drop the comments in there, and I will be able to go through it later on in the show. But really I want to say it's quite possible for us to also maybe realize what we want, because that is something also I want to say is quite possible. And the DP Secretary General, that is General Siranda, said the registration exercise is to establish records of the party and differentiate that also the party members from party well-wishers, and put the party members and candidates in order. And that is one thing also they are going to be doing, because we have seen NRM doing it. We also did see National Platform also recently carrying out the census exercise, that's registration, and we are now seeing also DP as well going to be doing that. Really, what does that mean? As the viewer, you can be able to share your opinions with us, and I will be going through it later on the show. But I really want to say that is something at the end of the day we need to make sure that we talk about, because if at all we are not going to be doing that, then definitely we are going to be lagging behind, which wouldn't be quite well. Mr. Mao noted that one requires more than 50% to cause a change, that is of government, also through voting, something he believes is impossible in Uganda. And also that is one thing also we did see Norbert Mao also really talking about in there. And that is also where we want to put that discussion aside and look at what is happening elsewhere. And now in relation to the sanctions, which we did see recently happening, where we did see the US also and the UK government also echoing out a ban for some government officials plus their spouses, and something which didn't go on well with some people in this country, where we did see mixed reactions being exchanged in there. Now, in relation to the sanctions, Minister Chris Baryomunsi is saying it is not US's job or UK's job to also fight corruption in Uganda. It's rather Uganda to fight its own corruption, and that is one thing also we are seeing on the past morning. And the ICT and National Guidance Minister, that's Chris Baryomunsi, has described the recent sanctions slapped on Speaker of Parliament, that's Anita Among, and other former and current government officials as irregular and uncalled for. And according to him, the ruling NRM, which has also been in power, that's for nearly 4 decades, stands for zero tolerance for corruption. And also we have internal mechanisms that's for fighting corruption. It's not the mandate of the United States or also the UK, the United Kingdom also. And he said this on Thursday. It had imposed sanctions on Ms. Among, that's Minister for Finance, Amos Lugolobi, and also the Minister for State for Karamoja Affairs, that's Agnes Nandutu, former Minister, that's for Karamoja Affairs, that's Goreti Kwitutu, and not forgetting former Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, that's Lieutenant General Peter Orolu, over accusations of involvement in the significant also corruption and gross violations of human rights in there. The U.S. also sanctioned Anita Among's spouse, that's Magogo Hashim, Kitutu's spouse, that is Michael George Kitutu, and Lugolobi's spouse, that is Evelyn Nachimera. They are generally also ineligible for entry, that's in the United States, because of the sanctions. And that's something we did see happening in over the weekend, and that's last week. And I really want to say many people actually expressed divergent opinions on this matter. I really don't know how, maybe as the viewer who is watching us right now, what do you think about it? Because we have seen people expressing mixed reactions, with others in support, while others are sort of in opposition of this matter. Maybe what do you think about it? Because as we get to move on with the show, as the viewer, you can be able to sort of share your opinions, share your ideas on what you think maybe in relation to what Chris Baryomunsi is saying, because he is saying it's not the mandate of United Kingdom or neither also of United States to also fight corruption in Uganda. It is Uganda to fight its own corruption, because we have mechanisms that have already been laid in place to solely ensure that corruption is fought maybe in Uganda. But really, as the viewer, what do you think about that? Because definitely you may be able to have something pinching and banning you in relation to that, and really that is where you need to sort of drop it on our comment section. For those of you watching us on Facebook, feel free to drop it there, and as well for those of you watching us via YouTube, you can also really still drop your comment in there, and I will be able to go through it later on. But as we get move on with the show, so many issues also continue to unfold on in the show, and that's where we'll be able to keep you reminded and updated of what is happening across the country and across borders as well, because we are here to do that for you as Western Television. It's our mandate to always keep you updated and informed. And we did see Baryomunsi, who represents Kinkizi East in Parliament, believes that the sanctions are indirectly birthed, that is from the Anti-Homosexuality Act enacted by Uganda in May last year, and according to him, the US and UK governments were acted by the law, hence using also the allegations of corruption to punish the individuals who involved in the process. And that is one thing also I want to say, we need to also ask our viewer, maybe the viewer on, because many people are actually saying that this bill and this ban is actually coming up as a result of the fact that we did see Uganda taking its stand, that is against the anti-homosexuality bill, which actually came up, where many people actually in Uganda said it is against our cultures, it is against our norms, where many Ugandans actually said they are not going to be accepting that. And that is where we did see some of the leaders actually also taking their stand and saying no, that is the anti-homosexuality law. And we did see the president actually also really over the months also talking about the same matter. But really, maybe are we going to be seeing Uganda very soon buying this pressure? Because we have seen now our leaders are being barred from also entering several countries. What does that mean? I really want to say what does that mean, because as the viewer, you could be able to have maybe your own opinion on what these leaders need to do and what exactly they need to do, because many of them actually say they can survive without going to the UK or US government also in there. But really, we did see also not the sanction not only remaining that, we did also see the ban and also the capture of their properties in the UK government. And one of the houses actually, which is actually said by the UK, is going to be captured. And we did see also the investigations. The matter we are yet following up, and we are yet also to get the final results, because we did see also the speaker saying she does not have a house in the UK. and we did see also that happening in there. And really, that's one thing also at the end of the day we are going to be following up on, and I will be keeping you updated. And this is where we did see also the Chris Bademos adding on, saying that some of the officials are listed in the sanctions are being prosecuted in the courts of law. That's for the corruption, which is also and how it is going to be addressed is actually one thing also we are following up on. He added that the government is conducting thorough investigations into the allegations also through its different arms, and according to him, the sanctions will not affect the relationship that's between the government of Uganda and the United Kingdom plus the United States also in there. And according to him, Uganda Inspector General Police, corruption is also one of the major obstacles undermining the country's also that is socio-economic transformation, and that's something where we did see shillings 1 trillion also being lost each year due to the virus, and that is one thing also. How do we make sure that we kick corruption out of the country is also something I want to also ask your opinion on as the viewer. This morning you can't be able to drop it in there, and I will be able to go through it later on, but for now we are going to be still continuing with the show. And remember, so many issues continue to unfold on the show, and I really want to say we are yet going to be also discussing that with you, and I really want to say it's quite possible, it's quite maybe important for us to already realize what we are going to be talking about this morning, because later on as we get to move on the show, that's also something we are yet going to be talking up on. But really, before we get to give you that, now let's look at Parliament still, where we did see former MPs shunning, that's the alumni meeting at Parliament also in there, where we did see a very few numbers, actually out of the 1,000 expected, only about 100 turned up for this meeting in there. That is quite unfortunate, quite also really sad to always see it also really, where in a surprising turn of events, former members of Parliament have failed to solely attend their alumni meeting at Parliament, citing fear of ridicule and humiliation. Also in the meeting intended that is to unite former MPs and celebrate their contribution to the country's political landscape was met with a hello-ham, also a warm response. On a handful of former MPs showed up, with many others opting to stay away from this exercise in the shows in close. That's the former MPs revealed that they felt also uncomfortable attending the meeting, fearing that they will be mocked and also be belittled by the former colleagues and successors in there. Something we did see happening, because some of these MPs today can maybe really not be able to fit in public, because as an MP in the Parliament you have a lot of privileges, but once you move out, definitely it becomes quite sad. With others who are not invested well, it may not be able to really be possible for them maybe to also come for this reunion, because really for those who actually lost their seats, it becomes quite difficult for them and life becomes very pressing. And some former MPs also expressed concerns about the question about their achievements and contributions while in office, and that is something also we are yet following up on. And the absence of also former MPs has raised questions about the country's political culture, and also the need for more supportive and inclusive environment for politicians, also both in office and out of office. And the few who attended the meeting called for change of mindset, encouraging politicians also to view defeat that's an opportunity for growth and also learning in that. That's one thing also I want to say is quite absurd. And the alumni meeting also low turnout has sparked a wider conversation about the need also for more also embracing political culture, where politicians come together and share their opinions and share experiences and each other also regardless of their current status. And that's one thing also I want to say it happened over the weekend. And out of over the 1,000 also former MPs, only 105 attended the annual also general meeting at the Parliament also Parliament premises. That was on Friday. And really I want to say this is something also which is quite bad. Really maybe some of the MPs could not be doing well, because as an MP definitely sometimes you are entitled to a lot of privileges, and once you leave this privilege, you shouldn't necessarily maybe give up, because many of the times we have seen some of the MPs die after just a few months after losing their seat, because life out of Parliament sometimes becomes very difficult, because we have seen them as actually some also who are those who are not strong have often also lost their lives, because maybe they get depressed, first of all, and maybe also poverty makes them not get used. That is maybe to also what they want, and that is something also we are yet following up on. As the viewer, you can also still drop your opinions on that, and we shall be able to also get closer and also share it with the rest of the viewers as we get to move on with the show. This is still a KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV. We are live on channel 477 on Star Times, and also already across all our social media platforms, where you can be able to access us each and every mornings right from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. That is from Mondays to Fridays, where you need to be part of the show, because definitely this is where we are going to be keeping you informed. And remember, an informed person is one who makes the informed decisions, and that is only why it is very, very much important for you as the viewer to keep watching us. That is each and every Mondays to Fridays, right from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. And this is where we are in for the first edition. It's a fresh week and it's a public holiday as well. But for now, let's first have this short commercial breather as we bounce back. Remember, our final destination, that is 9 o'clock for now. Stay tuned as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The search for Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makula Chika, exclusively on Star Times. For more details on how to join the competition, visit www.missuganda.co.ug or visit Star Times branches. The show is sponsored by VNA, LMZ, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Grace Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, true Ugandan beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
It's Monday, the 3rd of June. You're most welcome from wherever you're watching us from. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV, and this is Mother's Day. It is a very important day and as well a public holiday, and meaning that today we are going to be having time with our family members. For those who are already home with your children, definitely we must also make sure that we cherish and celebrate this day, because it is actually one of those days that is quite important in the lives of Christians, and that is why also really I want to say we must make sure we celebrate this day, because if you are not going to be celebrating this day, then it's quite absurd. It's quite unfortunate as well, because many people actually lost their lives as also really people who cannot be able, who could not be able to take. That is also really maybe what other leaders of that time also really we are imposing on them, and that is how at the end of the day they lost their lives for maybe the Christianity that we are celebrating today, and that is really something that we are yet for seeing this morning. And that's one thing also I want to say is quite good, because if at all we are not necessarily going to be getting that, then it's quite unfortunate, it's quite absurd, it's quite unfortunate as well, and that is why we are going to be connecting. That is to Namugongo, where our own, that is Alfred Jawok, is with the pilgrims, and that is really one thing also I want to say. He needs to also paint us an image. He needs to tell us exactly what is happening in there and how they are doing and how they are celebrating this day in there, because as somebody out there, you could be also interested in understanding how your relative who traveled with the pilgrims also maybe as a pilgrim also reached in Namugongo here, because information from maybe Namugongo up now indicates that there's nothing bad, as also alleged that also maybe in due course of the weeks, because some people are actually we are coming up with information that one of the pilgrims actually lost his or her life in this journey here. But really, we did also see confirmation from our own Alfred Jawok, who actually trekked with these pilgrims the ride from Nebiosoldi up to Namgongo India, which is quite fortunate and quite good for us to also have our own in there. Maybe let's first connect to Alfred Jawok to also tell us what exactly is happening in there, so that we get to understand how the Martyrs' Day celebrations is ongoing in there. And that is one thing also, which is today we are seeing a number of people actually coming in. That's from the different parts of the country and the region also as well. And what do I mean by the region? I mean East African community, because today we are actually part of one body, that is the East African community, and that is why we receive the pilgrims all the from DRC, we receive pilgrims from South Sudan, we receive pilgrims from Tanzania, others coming from Kenya, and also the other parts of the region. And that is why we are saying it is quite good for us to celebrate this day in there, because it is actually one of those important days where we did see these people actually losing their lives for the betterment of the Christians, because for them they say they are Christians, but how many people are willing to also make sure that they actually surrender their lives for maybe such causes today? And that's one thing also I want to ask. Are you that one person who can be able to maybe sacrifice your life for this very much good, important day? Is the question telling me? Maybe you should be asking yourself this early morning, because if at all these people maybe sacrifice their life, are you willing to do the same? I do not know, but really, as the viewer also, I can't be able to solely maybe pick up your opinion on. But for now, let's first connect to Alfred Jawok for maybe an update of what exactly could be happening. That's the Namgongo Catholic Shrine, for us to understand maybe how the celebrations are faring. And that is why maybe for those who do not travel to Namgongo, we must also utilize our churches around us, so that we get to pray for these, or maybe souls who lost their lives. That's for maybe for their stand on also their faith in that, because today we are seeing freedom of worship, which I believe also came up as a result of that. And we also understand that this day is not only celebrated by the Christians, Muslims as well are going to be celebrating this day. For now, let's first connect to Alfred Jawok and have maybe an update on what exactly could be happening in there. Thank you.
Yeah, all is said for 3rd of June 2024. We are live from Namgongo Martyrs' Shrine, that is Anglican Shrine and also Catholic Shrine. Majid and all our viewers, I want to say my name is Alfred Jawok, reporting for West Nile TV live from Namgongo here in Kampala. Just to give you an update, Namgongo is in the mood for Martyrs' Day celebration. And also, if you're on your way coming to Namgongo, I want to say, remember, the journey is too long, and the routes coming here have been diverted from Vienna College when you're going to Ginger. And also, the security is very, very tight. The reason why the security is very tight, just to keep the pilgrims very, very safe. And the men we are celebrating today were young men, except Matia Mulumba, who was above 40 years. And also among the pilgrims, we have older persons, we have young people, we have students. They are here. As you can see, the men of God are ready to begin the Mass. And here at Namgongo Anglican Shrine, I know we still have a long way to go, because we don't know at what time the Mass will begin. However, I want to show you in 1964, these Uganda Martyrs were canonized by Pope VI. They become the significant figures in the Catholic faith and also in Anglican faith. And also I want to assure all our viewers that I will keep you posted for whatever will happen from here. And right now we are at Anglican Shrine, and also I will also give you the update from Catholic Shrine. Alfred Jawok, West Nile TV, Namgongo, Kampala.
All right, that is Alfred Jawok. Thank you so much for that update. And really, you can't be able to see how the background is like, and that tells us how many people actually came out for this celebration. And that is why maybe as Christians out there who have never taken part in this celebration, we must make sure we interest ourselves in such a celebration, because I believe it's quite an interesting journey. Imagine walking over 450 kilometers right from Western Sub-region up to Kampala. Really, you are already meeting people of different maybe calibers on this journey. And definitely these are people whom you are going to be encountering in maybe more engagements, and that is why we are saying we need these connections. We need to make sure that also we come closer to God, and that is one thing really I want to say at the end of the day, as people of this sub-region, we must make sure that we also take part in, and that is one thing also at the end of the day which would be able to also increase people's faith in that. I want to thank you, Alfred Jawok, so much for that update, and we shall be able to keep the viewers updated in our subsequent news bulletins, that is of the Lembangea, which will be coming through midday, and later on also the Nilecast. Also we'll be still having an update in relation to that, and I really want to say we are going to be keeping you posted in relation to this information here. And as the viewer of Voice Nile TV, you must need not to worry, because we are going to be keeping you definitely posted on what exactly is happening at Namugongo, and that is why you must simply do that. Also sit maybe at the comfort of your sitting room and wait for the updates. Definitely they will be coming, because we do have our own who is with the pilgrims, and he is also taking part in that very much important celebrations. And I really want to say that is something which at the end of the day to me is quite well, because as the viewer, if at all you are not going to be getting interested in that, that would also be quite unwell. And that is one thing also we are going to be following up on, and then later on I will be able to solely keep you posted on that. And now let's leave that aside. Let's now talk something small about politics. We are seeing also the police coming out to also maybe promise that they are not going to be allowing NUP to continue with the rallies, because recently we didn't see the suspension of the NUP rallies, but we didn't see also NUP saying they're not going to be giving up. They are going to be continuing with also their rallies in their midst all the protests and also the intimidations for police to solely bar them. But they say they are going to continue, and now police is saying they won't allow NUP also to continue with the rallies. And that is something also we are seeing on the past morning. And remember that is also something that came in as a result of the accident that happened as the team was from Masaka, and where we did see somebody knocked in there. Now police came out to also first of all ask NUP to first resolve this matter before also continuing with the show. And the police has once again halted all national unity platform rallies forward also in the Friday evening statement. That's police spokesperson, that's Fred Enanga, said the law also enforcement the law enforcement has decided to stop the rallies after deadly accident. That's at Maya along, that is Kampala Masaka Highway in there. But that's something else I want to say at the end of the day is quite well for us to also witness in there, because if at all we are not going to be witnessing that, then that is quite unfortunate. And in a Friday evening statement, that police spokesperson at Fred Enanga also say that the law enforcement body has also decided to stop the rallies with also immediate effect after the deadly accident that is at along Maya, also Kampala Highway in there. That's something also I want to say at the end of the day we must make sure that we also talk about. And the Friday morning accident involving 2 vehicles and 3 motorcycles also led to the death of 3 people, including 2 Boda riders and the passenger. That's police earlier also said the accident happened when a Toyota Hiace, which was also part of National Platform Party President Convoy, that's Robert Chagulanyi also procession, that is Masaka, also knocked a Toyota Noah, which was also in turn rammed into the 3 motorcycles, also something we didn't see happening in there. And 2 people died on spot, while the third also succumbed to injuries while being rushed to the hospital for treatment, according to also the police. Whereas in the meeting with National Platform Party leaders, it was agreed also that to maintain discipline before, also during and after their mobilization rallies, something that maybe wasn't also observed in there. And they also accused National Platform Party of blocking also roads also during their processions. In that's something also I want to say happened, which was something which I really feel wasn't well, because if at all maybe this part blocking roads, what about the other road users who are not maybe subscribing the ideology of the National Platform? That means also we are going to be infringing on their rights, and that's something also we want to also say each and everybody's rights must be respected, regardless of or maybe who they are and what exactly they are doing. And that's one thing also we want to say, people's rights must be maybe respected. If at all maybe that is something happening, then at the end of the day we are going to be following up on that. And they also accuse National Platform of blocking the roads during their procession, but really how can they block the road? Because if a convoy is moving, I believe a convoy moves in numbers. Definitely I really want to say they must make sure they respect first of all the other road users, which will maybe wasn't something that was observed, but really we are going to be following up on. And what exactly National Platform will come out and say, I will be able to slowly come back and still keep you informed on. And another added that we appeal to the public to remain vigilant and observe law and order, and whoever also which was say the observed law and order, and which also contrary to public order and also safety shall be held also accountable under the laws of Uganda and the safety safety of Ugandans will also be the priority, and that's something also we are going to be keeping you, maybe the viewers, informed. And the development also comes at the backdrop of that Glennsville massacre, in which also he made a statement, especially against leader of opposition in Parliament, that's Matthias Mpuga, whose supporters also say the national platform wouldn't be allowed to step that foot in the backyard, and that's something also we didn't see happening in there. But really, that's something also I need your opinion on as the viewer, because police has come out and said that they're not going to allow a national platform also continue with that rallies, because we did see also police recently asking National Platform Party to also first of all halt their planned movements following that accident in there, but maybe that wasn't something which wasn't observed. But really, we are going to be following up on that, and that's something also that at the end of the day, I want to say we'll be able to come back and still keep you informed if at all there's any development line to that, and really that is something also we are going to be following up on. And let's move on now. Let's look at what is happening elsewhere at Makerere University, where we did see Makerere Deputy Vice Chancellor removed from WhatsApp group of the university, which was something also we did see happening there, because these WhatsApp groups do not only mean maybe they are WhatsApp groups. These are channels of communication, because if at all somebody is removed from that maybe in-house communication model, where are they going to be accessing information from? That is something also where we are saying that today we do not take WhatsApp groups, where we do not take WhatsApp messages lightly, because if at all a communication that comes through WhatsApp, and then definitely we first of all validate it, and then at the end of the day, that is something also we are saying will be meaning a lot. And Makerere officials at Makerere University only found out that Professor Omar Kakumba was no longer also their first deputy vice chancellor after his also unceremonious removal from the institution's leadership WhatsApp group. And this is something also we are seeing today, because if at all people are going to be removing through WhatsApp, because recently we did see also a football club in Uganda which actually also let go of their players just simply through also the WhatsApp communication, and they came out and said whoever will to remain in that WhatsApp group will be also still with the club, and whoever will be removed should also take it that they have already been removed from the club. But really, what does that mean? Because we are seeing this, we are seeing this kind of very much informal. But I don't know what that means. That Kakumba, the deputy vice chancellor for academic affairs, was on Friday also moved from the Makerere academic leaders WhatsApp group by Winston also terms a writer and associate professor of physics without notice in there. The trails of WhatsApp messages that the analysis has seen also shows officials at Uganda premier institutions of learning in confusion, wondering what exactly was going on before, because they had not also heard from the Dr. Kakumba in there, and as officials at the Hill also we are still trying to put that is head to trail deputy registrar Patience Mushengezi Rababinda removed from Kakumba also from the Makerere Senate members group as well, and that's something else we did see happening in there. But really, what does that mean if at all people are just going to be removed simply through WhatsApp communications? And I don't want to say that is something also at the end of the day which would also be very much unfortunate. One contacted Dr. Kakumba about the winter events at the university, but he also had not responded more than 24 hours later, and that's something else we did see happening in there. And the only thing that we are yet following up on is that we need official communication, because if at all people are going to be also let go of their jobs simply through WhatsApp communications, what does that mean? And really, what at the end of the day, how is that going to impact on service delivery? And that is one thing also I want to say is happening, and this is reported in the paper this morning, and we are going to be keeping you still posted on that. Professor Nawenga is as usually brief, touching also on and only what he wishes to communicate, and he not also avoid commenting on whether Dr. Luyombas had also stepped on to replace that Kakumba as acting deputy vice chancellor. In the exit of Kakumba potentially means Makerere University has no single deputy vice chancellor now, and the second deputy vice chancellor position remains vacant, and also with the recommendation for substantive appointment still also in the pending also tray of the university's council. In the potential, it leaves also Professor Nawangwe as acting also chancellor, vice chancellor, and also his own deputy for academic affairs, and also again as his own deputy for finance at the institution, and 4 jobs also he is taking up on, and that's something also I want to say is happening, because for this higher institution of learning, one of those also prestigious and most admired universities in the country, really if at all things are going to be moving in on that caliber, and then what exactly is going to be happening to the other universities, because I believe the other universities could also maybe copy a leaf from that, and that would also be quite unfortunate, because as Makerere University, which is actually saying as the fountain of education, we don't expect that to also maybe happen maybe where people are let go of their jobs through WhatsApp communications, which is something I really want to say is quite unfortunate, and we are going to be following up on that. So also say incoming first deputy vice chancellor will be positions that take over as vice chancellor also when Nawengo's term of office expires, that is in 2027. And meanwhile, Dr. Ireta appears to have walked into crossfires of notorious academic staff association Muwasa for his role also in the removal of Kakumba from the WhatsApp group. And the principal of the College of Natural Sciences, Ireta, said it is said to be the bright and hardworking with commitment that is to Makerere University, but much hated by for rising on the clutches of Muwasa, held for him also only to kick them in the groin after reaching the council. And Makerere don't say also all happened because their former Muwasa welfare officer had also decided to serve the unpopular things which he stands for, and that is something also we are saying is happening on the morning. But really, that is politics also really playing its part. I really want to say we are following up on that because if at all that is something also that is maybe coming up from the university, then definitely we expect also justice in the Dr. Ireta sounded unfazed when contacted about the allegations and the apparent also baying for his blood by a group he served also in the recent past, in that said it's simply okay, and that is also the communication we did receive from him. That is something also at the end of the day we are following up on, and I will be able to keep you posted and updated of what exactly could be happening in there. And that is one thing also I want to say as the viewers of the show, we need to also make sure that also we talk about, and that is something also the other day which really I want to say needs to be observed, because if at all people are not observing that, then definitely they would also not be able to also respect the other clauses also in place in that. Let's now look at also something happening elsewhere, where we are seeing also on the sad note in crime, where a girl is said to also be maybe raped also by the family members, which is really quite unfortunate, because we are seeing a number of the girl child also going through also a lot, and that is one thing also the other day. If at all we don't talk about then then definitely that is really quite absurd, quite also sad in there, because we also really seeing where a girl also is said to be also raped by the uncles, cousins, and also where she is also said to have been raped. That is for over 6 years, and the girl in Moroto has come forward also to share her story after she was allegedly repeatedly raped by her uncle and the cousin over a period of 6 years in there. But really what happened, because for this period of 6 years, why hadn't she reported this case? Because today we are having this also the incest going on commonly, because cousins sometimes feel, I don't know what is happening, I don't know what that means. Today, that means also the families are today getting eroded, because a relationship, sexual relationship between cousins is actually something we are seeing very much also happening, and I really want to say is something, maybe that's something wrong, because it's against our cultures, and our cultures also really do not permit that, because the religions may permit also marriages between also cousins, because if you look at what is happening among the Arabs, they are marrying also, that's allowed, but really the cultures do not permit that, and that is why also we are saying much as also the other aspects may be allowing it. But our culture is against that, and that's why we are saying today we have often seen relationships going on between cousins, which is really quite unfortunate, because for an uncle, really for you to have a relationship with somebody whom you're supposed to protect, that's quite unfortunate. And we are saying all this must be respected, and something needs to be done. And that is why we need the cultural institutions to come up clearly to also have this mandate of teaching people about their rights, also very, very much paramount. And today we are having the Lubar Kari emerging, and elsewhere we also do have their Keraluru also, where I want to also say people must also be educated and sensitized about their cultures, which would to me be very well. Because if you look at what is happening in West Nile sub-region today, we have so many cultural institutions coming up. Look at what is happening today, and that is why we are saying the differences must be put aside. We must work towards bettering our community, and that is one thing. So at the end of the day, we must also make sure, because for a person to be raped for about 6 years by family members really is quite unfortunate. And the victim bravely also shared that story in hopes of also seeking justice and protecting others from similar abuse. And Joyce, not real names, recalled also the first time that she was raped by 2 cousins also a few weeks after the incident, and she claims also her uncle also began sexually abusing her. And that is one thing also I want to say is happening, and the sexual assault continued, resulting in 2 pregnancies, both of which ended in abortion. And that is something also where I want to say people must also respect that, because if at all now you are going to be raping this girl and impregnating her, then why do you submit her to abortion? Because you feel that you can be able to take care and you felt maybe you are doing that in secret, in darkness, and really I want to say there are certain things that you cannot be doing in darkness for long. At the end of the day, you are going to be exposed. And today, that is one thing also we want to make sure that people do not also really engage in. And that is one thing at the end of the day which I really want to say is quite well. And the same uncle who also pays the school fees and has threatened also to cut off financial support if she reveals solely the truth of the matter. And this is something also that I want to say is happening. And the silence following the threat also allowed the abuse to continue, perpetuating also a circle of violence and fear in that FIDA Uganda, an operation that supports also victims of sexual gender-based violence. Over also 40 cases also been recorded in Moroto since January this year alone. And Mayabo Mibo Bui, a legal officer, also the office of the FIDA, also the Uganda, to visit the high incidence of violence against women also in Karamoja, that's patriarchal dominance, which often also views women as a minority and also fails to protect them. And that's something also we did see happening in there. And unfortunately, the perpetrator of violence against Joyce is still at large, and that is one thing also I want to say also must be respected, because today we are seeing a lot of these activities happening, but really what is happening and why has our cultures very much eroded, and what is our families and what our families exactly doing. And that is why we very, very much need the culture to come up very much and also start educating the masses about also what is happening in there. That's something also I want to say at the end of the day, if at all it happens, and then definitely many people are actually going to be also realizing that. And that is one thing also I want to say is quite possible and really also quite realistic. We must also make sure that we interest ourselves in, and at the end of the day also that would be quite well. And that is one thing also I want to say. We need to also make sure, as people of this maybe African culture, we need to make sure we go back to our culture, our cultural roots, because as Africans, cousin is still your relative, and that is why today we not say cousin, sister, we say, oh, my sister. That is one thing also one thing also we need to make sure. And then why do we commit incest? Because as cousins, definitely this is maybe your uncle's daughter, your uncle's son, but why do you continue to have this illicit sexual relations with them? And that's one thing also we are saying. That means that our cultures have very much eroded, and that means we need to go back maybe to our cultures and our roots. That's not that also we not leave anybody out, and I really want to say it's quite possible, and that's why we need to have family meetings where we need to have our parents also talk to these young ones, so that also they get to understand that maybe much as that is your cousin, that is still your sister, that is still your brother. We need to avoid what we call sexual relationship with these people, and that is something also at the end of the day which would be quite well, if at all, maybe such relationships also not maybe going to happen, because at the end of the day we don't want to see this happening, because where we are now seeing somebody being raped for 6 years and not reporting. That's quite unfortunate, and it was a long period of time where we also did see that 2 abortions also really took place, and that is quite unfortunate. And I really want to say that is something also really we need to make sure that we live, and that is something at the end of the day, as the viewer, you can be able to really share your opinion with us and share maybe how best we can be able to really avoid some of these challenges we are talking about this early morning. And still in education, Teso Karamoja also boosting menstrual hygiene to keep girls in schools, and today we are also being told that girls sometimes go through a lot, and that is also where sometimes people take advantage of them sexually, because if you look at the girl child, they have a lot of needs. For instance, the pads, the girl needs clothes, the girl needs also smearing oil, the girl needs to look okay, and because it is a mandate of a girl to look okay, but that is also something which at the end of the day which has subjected a number of them to sexual abuse. And that's one thing also I want to say is happening, because we need to make sure the girl child is protected, and in the Tesos and Karamoja sub-regions, menstrual hygiene and also keeps on challenging girls to keep remaining in school, and that's why we are seeing now it contributing also to significantly to the high dropout also of girls in the schools. And despite commitments from various partners and the recognition of also MHH as a fundamental human right, access also to essential menstrual products and services also remains severely lacking, and that is why today many girls also have been taken advantage of by the boy child, because the boy child, who is the provider first of all of the pads, may also need something back in exchange. And that is how where sometimes we are seeing our sisters, our girls, our aunties, maybe our relatives also opening up, subjecting also themselves to that abuse. And that is why we are saying, as parents out there, we must make sure that the responsibility of protecting the girl child is given key interest. What do I mean by this? If a girl, maybe that daughter of yours, is actually in need of something, you must provide. You must give them the necessary maybe support. First of all, through the soap. First of all, also really giving them the necessary maybe smearing oil they need, and they also the pads. Don't forget to buy them the pads. I love parents who give the girl child also the pads, because if at all tell us that the demand of this girl, now this girl is approaching the age of puberty, definitely they also start providing for them the pads. And this is actually one thing that has been making people, maybe the girls also being taken advantage of, because sometimes the girls also feel shy to request these things from their parents, and sometimes the parents also cannot able to provide these things in time, and that is why maybe they start eyeing these boys who are maybe in the areas who can be able to already provide for them. And that is something also at the end of the day where we have seen these girls also really being taken advantage of. And what we are saying is that people must also really respect the girl child. We must also really make sure we provide without necessarily something where we have also been talking about something for something, which has also been a case. And that is one thing also really other day, that is corruption. And if at all you as a man, you are giving something to a girl expecting back, that is corruption. And really I want to say you must be maybe arrested for that, and that will be quite well. That brings us to the end of the first also half of the second hour. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV. We are going to be doing this with you up the hour of 9 o'clock, and remember at 9 o'clock that is when the news bulletin Lubarati will be coming through with Mkulia Lawrence. I hope you are having a wonderful day, wonderful time this important day, because today is a public holiday and one of those big days in the lives of Christians, and today is the Martyrs Day, which is 3rd of June. For somebody who could just be tuning maybe right now and you are wondering what exactly we are talking about, this is the Martyrs Day celebrations, and as Christians we must make sure that we rush out to the churches, and the masses I believe could be going on, or maybe the first mass could be getting done, and then the second one may be emerging, and that is why we must make sure that we rush out and pray on this very much important day. For now, let's have this short commercial breather, and when we bounce back, we shall be able to continue with the conversation from there. My name is Sarif Majid. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
For Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makulachika, exclusively on Star Times. For more details on how to join the competition, visit www.missuganda.co.ug or visit Star Times branches. The show is sponsored by VNA, LMZ, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Grace Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, true Ugandan beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from this short commercial break, and today is 3rd of June, in case you're just joining us right now. It is the Martyrs' Day celebrations, one of those important days in the lives of Christians, and that is why we're already here to keep you updated, and that is one thing also really I want to say. As Christians out there, we must make sure that we cherish this day, and we must also really make sure that we rush out to pray for those people who lost their lives. That's also really to say that I'm a Christian, and that is one thing also really that made many of them lose their lives, and they actually paused what the leader was saying, and that is one thing also really I want to say. As people of this maybe this caliber, this generation, how willing and how submissive are you to also to the Lord, and how ready are you to sacrifice your life to die just for God? And that is something also I want to say, maybe pick your opinions on as the viewer this early morning. But as we get move on with the show, remember so many issues continue to unfold, and I will be able to slowly explain to you what exactly happened, and that is one thing also I want to say is still happening. And really I want to say, as we get move on with the show, remember we are just remaining with some few minutes to wind up with today's discussions, and really that is something also I want to say, where we did see also really the man who was actually behind also really Bad Black, who has been now charged also really with possession of firearms, and that's something also really we did see happening in the UK court, has charged Mr. David Greenhalgh, the ex-finance, that's fiancé of known city socialite, that is Shanita Namuyimba, aka Bad Black, with 12 counts of breaching and arms also embargoes for allegedly supplying arms to several countries in India. And according to the Sunday Times of the UK, Mr. Greenhalgh also appeared before Westminster Magistrates Court on Wednesday last week also in there, and that's something also we did see. And subsequently he was charged with 12 counts of breaching arms embargoes with cells linked to some of the bloodiest conflicts and of the past 2 decades under the Export Control Order of 2008 in there. And the prosecution led by Alistair Dixon told the court that Mr. Greenhalgh is involved in brokering arms deals also really in the breach of the embargo controls, and the British also really businessman was allegedly brokering the sales of military equipment, including also the Russian fighter jets, air missiles, also release systems and assault rifles to countries including Syria, Libya, and South and Sudan. In that he is also really suspected to have brokered the arms deal between also 2009 and 2015 with war-torn countries, to which also really he supplied a range of military-grade equipment, and that is something also really which he got arrested for. And according to British newspaper, the aviation also expert from Croydon, South London, allegedly accessed and also really supplied equipment for over a decade in there. Really, that's something also I want to keep you updated on, and as the viewer, maybe what do you think about that? That's something also which I want to also ask your opinion on, because we didn't see this man actually who came to Uganda and claimed that solely he was stolen by the citizen, that's Bad Black, and where we did see this matter also moving to court in there. And really, that's something also we did see happening, and according to the British newspaper, that's something we did see, and he's also accused of being involved in the sales of the combat aircraft, air defense, also the weapon systems and missile launch systems, AK-47 assault rifles, and 9mm pistols, along with a total of that's 4,600, 1,000 also rounds of ammunition, and also something we didn't see happening there. But really, that's something also I want to say we are following up on it. He's also accused of all those crimes and purple grenades and also the mortars to unidentified countries in 2014 and 2015 in there. This is what I want to say are quite dangerous. That's to human life, and I really want to say, could it be justice? Because for this man to be arrested with all those things and all these charges be put on him, and that is something really I want to say, to me is quite well, because definitely these are, you can just imagine all these ammunition that we are talking about, how many atrocities and how many lives have they claimed. That's something also we are yet also asking your opinions on. And the 66-year-old rose to fame during his stay in Uganda, where he met and dated and also got engaged. That's to Bad Black, who was also the co-director of their real estate company, that is Shan also limited. Their relationship also ended when he accused Bad Black of stealing the US dollars 2.5, also about 10.3 billion from the company. That's something we see happening, and really I want to say that is something also we are following up on. And in 2012, the anti-corruption court also judged that Catherine Bamgayore convicted Bad Black of fraud and also sentenced her to 4 years in prison, while her co-conspirator and ex-love also Medi Sentongo was handed an 18-month sentence, and that's something we did see happening. And Bad Black also was known for a lavish lifestyle in Kampala, and also the hangouts, and also they owned several high-end cars, which also we later confiscated on orders of the court in an attempt that is to also recover the shillings 11 billion in there. And that's something also I want to say happened in there. That's something also I want to say and maybe I need to pick up your opinion on, and as the viewer, definitely you can't be able to solely share your opinions with us as we get moving in the show, because for this man to be arrested and all these charges be put on him, what do you think about it? Could it be justice finally? Because you can just imagine how many people got killed on using also this ammunition, and that's something also I want to say. We are yet also interested in your opinions. You can be able to drop it there. For those of you watching us via Facebook, feel free to drop it there, and as well for those of you watching us via YouTube, also your opinions are still highly welcome, and we shall be able to solely talk about it later on. But as we get moved on the show now, let's talk something small in South Africa before we get to give you what is happening in the world of sports, because we also do understand the Champions League final also really got done over the weekend, and that's something also I want to say we are going to be informing you of, and who exactly won the Champions League. Maybe to you, the viewer, I will be telling you that. But for now, let's look at South Africa, where for the first time in South Africa, we have been told the democratic era, the African National Congress will have to also seek one or more coalition partners to govern with, or after it fell well also the short of majority in last week's national election. That's something we did see happening, and here are scenarios of what could also really happen. That's in South Africa, next South Africa, in which parties that the ANC might also partner with, and will Ramaphosa also really get ousted? That's a question somebody out there could be asking him or herself, because Ramaphosa has been also the president of the Republic of South Africa, and now we are also seeing that the ANC won just about 40% of the votes, by far its worst result since democratic also elections began in 1994, and after the end of the apartheid, and leaving it short of a majority. And in parliament, some political analysts saying this could also lead the party and say that the party could also lead, and Ramaphosa, President Ramaphosa, having to step down also as it comes out of the election badly worsened, and that's why you did see the party weekend. But ANC leaders say on Sunday the party would not bend to pressure from other political forces to ditch him, and that's something we did see happening in that. Over the years, we did see also 4 electoral process cycles, and where the ANC share of the votes gradually dropped, but never also by more than 5% points from one election to the next, and that's something we did see happening in there. And that is why if Ramaphosa survives the voters' backlash, he would also really carry on at least for a while, or that's a broker coalition deal with another party, also really in a bid to secure a parliamentary majority. Though analysts say he may struggle to serve for a second full term, and that's something we did see happening in there. And tipped on also really as potential successors other ANC politicians, say Deputy President also Paul Mashatile, also Gwede Matashe, are currently also in charge of the mines and also energy ministry. In any case, the ANC needs also to move quickly to Constitution says, also as the Constitution says, the new National Assembly also must convene within 14 days, and that's already over the election period also happening in there. That's something also we want to say happen in there. That's something also I want to say we must also make sure we talk about, because if at all we are not talking about that, then definitely that is something also that could be able to leave us out. And that's something also I want to say we must also make sure that we talk about, because if at all we don't talk about it, then definitely that is something which at the end of the day would leave us behind. And that is something also I want to say we must also make sure we talk about, because if at all we don't talk about what is happening in South Africa, and then definitely as being that nation which actually we have been talking about freedom. If you talk about freedom, then definitely you can't be able to live. We cannot exclude talking about South Africa. And that's why we are saying we must make sure we talk about them, because that is as Pan-Africanists, definitely that is something what happens to your neighbor is actually happening to you, and that is why we are always interested in what is happening in our neighborhood. And that is one thing also, and one reason actually we are here to keep you updated of what is happening in there. And that is something why I want to say we need to also make sure that we also talk about. And now some other discussion with what is happening in the world of sports, starting right from the big league. We did see also FIFA big league games going on yesterday. That's in the round 30, where we did see Lugazi also beating that Gingernoff by 2-0, and that's something we did see happening yesterday, as well as Police FC going on to beat Kataga, and Police have been crowned. That's the winners of this year also for big league after their win of yesterday. And we did see Chigezi Homeboys beating that's Boma by 4-2, also really going on, and Chiinda Boys also we were able to beat that is Mbale Heroes by 4-1. And one of the interesting games of yesterday was the derby of West Nile, where we did see Calvary Midigo being beaten 3-0 by Ondukbaraka Football Club in the and that's one thing also I want to keep you informed of. And remember, the winners and those who got promoted from the 4 big league to the Southern Uganda Premier League, which is the top tier of Ugandan football, have already been identified, and the teams actually that made their way through, that is to the Southern is also the Uganda Premier League for next season, include that's Police Football Club, who are the winners, not forgetting also the Lugazi Football Club, also who actually got their way to also get promoted in there, and also not forgetting Mbale Heroes, who were actually promoted in there after about 19 years of the season, maybe of the top tier, and they actually got themselves back, and that is one thing also I want to say happened in there. And somebody could be interested in the biggest of the stories that happened maybe over the weekend in the world of sports, and I want to remind you of that is the Champions League, where we did see Real Madrid actually going on to beat that is already German side, but that's Borussia Dortmund by 2-0, and that's something we did see happening in there, and that also really shows you that class is actually permanent. After many people actually thought in this game, actually that many people thought that the Real Madrid was going to lose in this game because the pressure that was mounted on them, not many people could actually hold it. And I was able to watch this game with that's Oracle Benson Pastor, and they actually came out and actually said really Madrid is going to be beating this ball through experience, and definitely that is what happened, and that means also really really that is Real Madrid is indeed a Real Madrid, and that means also a man is a man, and that is something we did see happening in there after Real Madrid was able to win this game again for about also I don't know how many times, but really I want to say that also we did see them happening, and that's why we want to congratulate the Real Madrid fans, that is both in Africa and across overseas, and that's why we are saying we are here to keep you informed. That is all what is happening in the world of sport, and that brings us to the end of today's discussions. We hope you had a wonderful time right from the time we began until this hour of the morning, and we say from us to you is a good day, and we wish you a happy Mother's Day celebration. And we shall be bouncing back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV here with me, Farish Majid. Up next is the news bulletin in Lubarati with Mukulia Lawrence. Stay tuned.